Nebraska quarterback commit Dayton Raiola just kicked off his senior year of high school football on ESPN. And man, oh man, he shocked America with his performance. He balled out. So in today's video, I'm going to break down everything that he did yesterday night, all of the good, because there was a lot of it. What you can expect when he gets to Lincoln. I'll show you some game film, some clips. But at the same time, he's not a finished product. There are some things that he needs to continue to work on. We'll talk about it along with everything else you need to know. Another Nebraska commit kicked off his season yesterday. 4-star defensive back Danny Odem. I'll give you the latest around his performance. And then last but not least, Nebraska has aggressively been trying to flip a 4-star defensive lineman, and he just decommitted from his school yesterday. We'll go over who this guy is, what's been going on behind the scenes, and so much more. So really quick, this video is loaded with information from start to finish. Hit that like button if you're fired up. And also, we are 13 days away from kickoff, and we are getting so close to 13,000 subscribers on the channel. If you're a diehard Nebraska fan and you want daily content talking for everything talking Huskers, it is a no-brainer. It takes 2 seconds. Join this family. Help us at 13K. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much. But without further ado, we have a lot to talk about. I want to get things started with Nebraska 3-star quarterback commit Dayton Raiola, of course, the little brother of Dylan. He just kicked off his senior year of high school football yesterday for Buford High on ESPN2, playing against one of the best teams in America, Milton, and he rose to the occasion. A lot of people are watching that game nationally, not only in Nebraska, but on the East Coast, the West Coast. People want football, and for that reason, everybody was tuning in to see what Dylan Raiola's little brother could do, and he really balled out. So Dayton Raiola threw for over 150 yards, a completion percentage of 55%, multiple touchdowns, only 1 interception, and Buford got the top 20 victory, 20-13. So talking about all the things that Dayton Raiola did well, we'll get to some of the cons later. We'll get to what you can expect when he gets to Lincoln. But the first thing that I was very impressed with when it comes to Dayton was his mobility. Now, ESPN, they talked to him very early on the broadcast. They interviewed him and they said, how are you different from your brother? Because they're very similar prospects. Of course, Dylan was a 5-star, Dayton's a 3-star, but both those guys are built the exact same way. They can throw it a mile. They have very similar tendencies. So you think they're the same quarterback, but that's not really the case. When interviewed and asked that question, Dayton said, I'm different from Dylan because I'm more confident with my legs. And you saw that time and time again last night. There would be times where, Dayton would have a bootleg or a play action like you're about to see here. And he'd step up in the pocket. He'd make a guy miss. Look at that little stiff arm. And gets 10 yards free. Just gets out of bounds. Okay, he is confident getting outside. He is fast. He is twitchy. He's not somebody who, again, is incredibly elusive, but he is very confident getting outside the pocket, getting 10 yards with his legs. And also, the thing that I've been very impressed with, he'll get outside the pocket, and just like his brother, he'll keep his eyes downfield. He's trying to find the open man alongside the sideline. We saw a couple times yesterday where, again, some big plays happened because of that, his ability to extend play. So I was very impressed with that when it comes to Dayton Raiola. Now, is he a dual threat quarterback? Absolutely not. Is he somebody where you're going to have, option offense with or zone reads? No. Okay. He's not that twitchy fast. He's not that explosive, but he's somebody where, again, if there's an open lane and nobody's open, he's going to be confident enough to go get, again, 10, 15, 20 yards with his legs. He's not going to throw it away. He's not going to try to force something in there. So that's the number one thing I was impressed with when it comes to Dayton. You also saw great arm strength yesterday. Again, he can throw it a mile, just like his brother. There was a time very early on in the game, it was an incompletion, so I won't show you the clip. But it was a 60-yard bomb straight down the field. There was a pass interference. Probably would have been caught, honestly. But again, he threw it literally 60 yards in the air. So you have the mobility, you have the arm strength. And the big question I had around Dayton going into this year was the IQ, the progressions. Because last year when you watched his film for Buford, he wasn't great in that department, right? He'd have 1 or 2 reads every single play. And if those guys weren't there, he'd bail or he'd throw the ball away. Okay, this year the progressions look very much improved. He's becoming a smarter quarterback. He's reading these defenses. Obviously, it's going to be a huge step forward when he actually gets to the Big Ten. Like that's a little bit different. So it's going to take him time. But again, he's becoming more of a smart quarterback, which is key to getting on the field as early as possible. So those are all the things that I was very impressed with when it comes to Dayton. Now, again, I'll be very honest with you. There are some things that he needs to continue to work on. And we'll go back to the game film here really quickly. The accuracy yesterday was not too great from Dayton. And again, he has the arm strength, he has the mobility. But I'll show you this clip right here. Wide open man in the back of the end zone just barely overthrows him. That would have been a touchdown, get the game going, right? You go over to this play here where this was kind of a hospital ball. He actually did complete this pass, but a little play action once again. They did this time and time again. Wide open man. and he underthrew that significantly, and this guy got blown up. So it is a completion. It actually was a pretty good pass. Like, I'm not too mad about this from Dayton, but he didn't throw him in stride. And, you go back to this last one here. This was an interception through by Dayton Raiola right at the end of the second half. Again, granted, you're trying to force something in there. That's completely fine. Trying to make something happen for your team. But this is where you kind of see the IQ. Like, you'd rather throw this ball away, try to force it in there, and it's picked off by Milton. So that was really the only thing I was a little bit disappointed with. I thought he's actually at times kind of wasn't great. Specifically throwing 30 yards down the field, passing outside the numbers. Sometimes he'd step up outside the pocket instead of inside the pocket. But other than that, I mean, he was fine. He was really, really fine. Just, trying to fine tune that actually as the year progresses. He's not a perfect quarterback. He's not a 5-star, right? So, and it also was a season opener on ESPN. There's some nerves in there. So I'm not giving him any slack for that, but the accuracy is something that definitely needs to continue to develop, because there were some times yesterday where he just missed some open guys, or he threw an interception here or there. Or he threw some hospital balls. They threw a lot of hospital balls. You can't do that because they're really going to get your wide receivers. The ball is either going to get poked for, or you're going to get your wideouts injured. So that was something that I thought a lot when we were talking about Dayton Raiola. But overall, recapping his performance, again, it was very solid. Very, very solid performance from Dayton. Hopefully he continues to get better. I'm going to be watching most of those Buford games because, again, he's must-see TV. It's one of the best teams in America. It was very fun to watch. Shout out to ESPN for covering that one. So that was Dayton Raiola. Then Danny Odem played yesterday in his season opener. He actually played against IMG Academy. Of course, this is a 4-star defensive back for Nebraska. Now, I won't lie to you guys. His team got killed. IMG Academy, we know what they are. Again, they're one of the best teams in America constantly because they recruit kids to go over there and play for them. So his team got destroyed, but Danny Odem played very well, along with Devin Jackson, who was a past Nebraska target. Nebraska still might flip him. But I think I was impressed when it comes to Danny yesterday. Again, he's playing against the top wide receivers in high school recruiting, and he held his own in man coverage. He was really, really good in that department. Now, zone coverage wasn't as great, wasn't really necessarily his fault. His team, once again, his team wasn't as good as IMG Academy. So when you're in zone coverage, it's more of a team effort than it is in man coverage. But I thought Danny Odem was really, really good yesterday, and he's one of the best pound-for-pound man corners in the class. And again, if he's doing that against IMG Academy, he's going to dominate when he plays the local Florida teams who really aren't even close to being as good as they are. So I was impressed with Mr. Danny Odem yesterday. And again, all of the rest of the Nebraska commits will probably start up next week. I know Nayland Scott plays this Saturday, and then pretty much all of them start the week after that. So definitely we'll give you some recaps around how these guys are performing week from week. And then last but not least, I want to get to a player that Nebraska has been trying to flip for some time now, who just decommitted from his school yesterday. This is a 4-star defensive lineman. He's actually a 3-star right now. He used to be a 4-star. James Carrington. Now, he was originally committed to Florida State. He was actually going to visit Nebraska on an OV in April. Canceled that, of course, committed to the Seminoles, but just decommitted yesterday. So we're at this point where with this Nebraska defensive line recruiting class where we have nobody. We have no targets, right? We missed out on Valenzuela. We missed out on Mikhail Blade, Titan Davis, Hunter Higgins. Just don't go down the line. We've missed out on everybody for a multitude of reasons. We've talked about it over the summer. So you look at Nebraska's D-line board, you kind of got nobody. And you need at least probably 2 defensive line commits in this class. So James Carrington, somebody who Nebraska, they did want. They were very involved with originally. So I would watch out for the Huskers to try to get him on a visit very early on in the season, like the Michigan game, like the Akron game, maybe even USC later in November. Now, Oklahoma is in this process. Oklahoma is the #1 school that's been recruiting him, the reason why he potentially is going to flip. So I would watch out for the Sooners there, but expect Nebraska to be aggressive and try to get him on a visit. So I'll just give you the latest there. Again, the D-line class, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. Like, I'm not going to beat around the bush. There are some concerns, but like we always talk about, if you can win on the football field when it matters and also offer enough in NIL, recruiting will figure itself out. It's pretty much that simple nowadays. So I wanted to give you guys that update around Mr. James Carrington, one of the best interior defensive linemen coming out of the West Coast. All right, guys, let me know your thoughts down below about everything Dayton Raiola's performance yesterday. I want to hear your thoughts. Hey, if you made this far in the video, do hit that like button and subscribe. As always, folks, go ahead and go Met Rule, and I'll see you in the next one.